Welcome to Authentic with Brazil 201. I'm your host, Brazil 201. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about a movie that came out this week, Eternity, which starring the Scarlet Witch, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner. So, Eternity is a lot like The Good Place. And I kind of want to go full spoilers on this because this movie left me with too many questions. If a movie leaves you with a lot of questions, it's either it didn't do a good job explaining a lot of things at all. But anyway, we're gonna kind of go through the movie, and then I'm gonna go where I have a lot of questions because I am rapidly confused about this. Because let me tell you something: if the afterlife is just Grand Central Station, I am in fucking hell right now because that is a place I have to frequent way too often. Okay, hell, the afterlife should not be fucking Penn Station or Grand Central Station or any of these fucking way stations in New York City. But this is the premise of this movie, and I understand it did really well in the Toronto Film Festival, and I like the concept. Okay, it takes a lot of it from The Good Place, but anyway, we meet 85-year-old version of Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen, who are Joan and Larry. They are on their way to their daughter's baby shower. And they're bickering because they've been married for 60 years and their car is ancient and they're slow and they're just, like most of our parents, old and just, like life is passing them by. They're technology illiterate and a bunch of it. Okay. So they're at the baby shower and we were told multiple times that Larry has to stop eating pretzels because you're going to choke and die one day. Okay. And the parents, Jones, I mean, not the parents, yeah, the kids of Joan and Larry are found some old pictures from when Joan was married to her first husband, right? Who died in the Korean War. I don't remember there being a Korean War, but I went to Catholic school. We didn't learn anything but abstinence. So there you go. So that happens. And he sees the picture of the first husband, Larry. Larry dies choking on a pretzel. Boom. Larry wakes up on the LIRR, young again, as Miles Teller. Because when you die, you come to the afterlife as when you were your happiest, which brings us to our first question. Because we now know no matter how you die, you end up on the LIRR, right? To go to the way station. And then you meet your AC, who is your afterlife coordinator. And Larry's AC is Devine Joy from The Holdovers or Only Murders in the Building. Okay, Larry has a lot of presence. He's like, is there a God? Who did this? Questions, people would ask. The questions now I have, because it seems really interesting, right? Because you get 7 days in the way station in these nice condos to then pick where you want to spend your eternity. And you're not allowed to hop eternities, which seems miserable because, like in The Good Place, life has meaning because it's finite, right? And even in The Good Place, they all got tired of eternity, but their eternities where they got to do whatever they want, right? They weren't just stuck in New York world or Paris in the 1940s without racism. And by the way, let's get into the eternity aspect of it all. There is an eternity for anything you want. You could go to mass shooting eternity where you can just kill people. You could go to a world where you get to just fuck anybody eternity. You could go, yes, to 1930s Germany eternity. You could go to 2015 New York or 2020 New York or Astro World or on a yacht forever or on a cruise forever. But do you see the concept here? You're not allowed to leave eternity. You're just stuck there. And eventually you must get sick. And we see throughout the movie people break out of their eternity because they're tired of it. Like this guy was in museum world and he's like, I'm tired of looking at fucking paintings. It's awful, right? And we see that some eternities get filled, like Beach World or or World with No Men apparently has been full 3 times, which once again the larger concept of this all, since all humans throughout history end up in eternity. By the way, we don't see animals at all in Eternity, which is sad. What if you want to go to a world with like fucking animals? No animals are in this movie. This is the other thing. Also, there's no internet in Eternity, and there's no streaming services, right? The channels that they watch on the television are just ads for various eternities. Okay? Like, so this is just like no technology, and it just seems more like a prison. This is the whole concept with this. I'm like, okay, right? And Larry is like, Larry wants to wait for his wife because he knows his wife is terminally ill with cancer, and he thinks like, oh, she'll die any day now or whatever. He goes to a bar, and we meet fucking Callum, who's been the bartender there forever. And by the way, the people who do these jobs in Eternity are humans. They lived life on Earth. There are no angels. Now, which brings up like who's giving them their jobs and all of this. Movie Another thing this movie does not answer, right? All we know is that there's some type of higher up system, and there we go. And it's kind of depressing because then you think about like, and it's not shown, but it's mentioned in like clips like, oh, a plane crash just happened. So we have about 300 passengers coming in. But then this made me wonder like mass shooting kids, right? These are kids who die at 10, 11, like, normal kids who die and they're just stuck in this afterlife. They got to be freaking the fuck out. And they don't get to experience like adulthood or like knowledge of what they would have been like an adult. So they're choosing these fucking eternities to be stuck in forever. As we see, like Larry he visits Beach World or whatever, and he's like, that's probably just a 90-year-old man or whatever. He's like, no, I'm 10. I died in a hit and run. Right? Do you see this? And this is like these are the hints of like what could be a darker movie, where, and it's not like they don't get to ask like, oh, where did our parents or our loved ones or whatever end up, so maybe we can visit them. You're just stuck in this one world, and I don't know why they do it like that. Like, oh, okay, you're just stuck in mountain world, and the people that are there are just the people you have to interact with forever, right? And it seems like Larry is about to go to Beach World permanently, and he's like taking the escalator down. He sees Joan, like Joan as she did like when she was hot in her 30s, and he notices it. He's like, "Oh my God, Joan!" He goes back up the escalator. He's like, "Hi, Joan," and then it's funny because they still talk as if they're 85 years old. He's like, "Larry, you died choking, you bastard," in all of this, and then what happens is like, oh, okay, they'll talk and maybe we could just pick whatever world you want to go to together. Then what happens is Callum, who was the first husband, right, who's Luke, and he's just so charming. And Joan's like, oh my God, you look so hot, and all of this other shit. I can't believe it. And she has to pick, right? The husband she only had for 2 years, or the husband she had for 6 years, right? And these are valid concerns. These are valid things, and also you're not different. Remember, Joan died as an 80-year-old. She lived an entire life where culture and history changed. Luke, who died in whatever the Korean War happened. I don't know when, but he's just been there and he's been waiting for 60 years. And it's kind of like simpy Bushwick behavior, but that is what is happening. And you're just like, okay, I guess. And they have to compete for it. And the ACs call up higher enough. So what happens if they allow her, because Joan was such a good person in life and Luke was such a good person in life, that they will allow a special situation where Luke can go to an eternity, like in a visa for a bit, with Joan, and to experience what it would be like. And then she does it once with a fucking Larry. And it's for her to make a decision. So, meanwhile, while she is in the temporary eternity in Mountain World with Luke, Karen, their HOA manager, recently died. And Larry's like, okay, Karen knew Joan her entire life, which is fantastic. Okay. Um, so he's like, okay, so Larry begins to visit. Yeah, Larry begins to visits Karen, and Karen is like still old at 70, and he's like, why are you 70 and not hot when you were young? He's like, okay, whatever. And he's like, "'Cause I'm a lesbian now and I'm happy." But Karen knew Joan her entire life, right? They've known each other since they were in their 20s, and they've been best friends forever since. Similar. So he's like, "Oh, I remember Luke and all this other things." And he's like, "Do you remember why she fell in love with me?" And it's like, "I don't know why she fell in love with you. I always told him you should have broke up or whatever and shit." And I'm like, "Okay." Good one. You hungry? There you go. There you go. So that happens, and he breaks into Luke's apartment thing and sees that he dyes his hair, which I guess why do you have to dye your hair in the afterlife? And apparently he's been fucking a bunch of people in the afterlife, which is fair. He's been dead for 60 years, right? So they come back from the eternity visit into the apartment, and Joe's like, "Larry, what are you doing? Why are you breaking into his house?" And, Luke and Larry fight and blah, 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 blah. And then she does the temporary beach world shit with Larry, and Beach World is far too crowded. Seems miserable. And this is the other concept of this entire movie. It's like you gotta pick. And I'm like, okay, I die. I'm in Grand Central Station. I have to pick where I want to live forever in eternity, right? And from what we've seen in all of this, there's no TV and there's no internet. There's no way to like creep on what's happening in the real world. You only get to know by people dying and the weird radio show that like mentions when a tragedy happens, like a plane crash or a mass shooting or whatever, you don't get to know. And it's never explained why you can't hop between worlds, why you're just stuck there forever, right? Because I guess like for me, okay, I am a New Yorker, okay, so let's say I die, okay, because it's also not explained what type of house you get. Like I guess they just pick like I die, would I want to be in my penthouse? I would like I would want like a penthouse in Hudson Yards in eternity for New York forever because that's all I know. Like I would get bored of places I don't know because I'm not used to. I don't like change. Okay, like like I don't want to be in 1920 Paris world or fucking space world. And it seems like you get cold, you do get cold, and you get hungover, and a bunch of other weird shit that is happening in this movie. The movie is beautiful about life and all of it. Oh, and there's this like carnival ride where you go through like the memories of your life and shit. So that, so you get to experience the best moments and sadnesses in your life and you view it in like 4K. So that happens. She has her choice to make, right? So she says, "I don't want to pick either of you. I pick myself." And she is now on the she's like, so her and Karen go on the LIRR to Paris 1940s without the racism, I guess. Which is fine because she is okay with living with Karen forever because she's known Karen her entire life. But then Larry comes up, knocks on the thing and says, "Don't go. Pick him. It's the life you didn't get to experience." And we also, Larry, we kind of see that Luke is kind of angry. He's like, "I'm tired of hearing about your fucking kids and the life you got and all this other shit. That should have been mine or whatever bullshit." So then, okay, she picked eternity with Luke, and they have sex. It's great, but she just hates all of this. She hates Mountain World. She's like, "I hate hiking." So do I. I get it. And all this other shit. And he's like, "I made the wrong choice." Okay. And then she's like, "Am I what you pictured?" No. You changed. I changed. I lived a whole life without you. I am different. I am not the person you met. And she's like, "I got to find a way to break out of here." Okay. And Luke helps her by distracting the archival guy. She gets the keys. She breaks out, and it's a weird in between worlds. And somehow she pops back into Grand Central Station, and she runs into the two ACs, Devine and what the fuck, and Ryan and Anna, and they see her and and they're helping her. They're like, okay. They're like, okay, okay, okay. They're hiding her, and they're like, "Where is Larry? I love Larry." And they're like, "Yes, because that's the person she knew. That's the person she grew up with. That is the person she like lived 60 years and had a bunch of kids with. She is." She hates him, but she loves him, and she all experienced the ups and downs with him, and life with a mortgage and all of it. And we see that Larry's been the bartender, and then somehow Larry and Joan go into a dysfunctional suburban eternity world where it looks like their house in real life and they're just happy. And that's how it ends. But I have I just have so many questions. Like, you pick the wrong eternity, you're fucked. And there's no opt out, right? This is like what The Good Place tried to answer, is that because things go on forever, your brain becomes mush and you get tired of it. Is that they want like an opt out where you just like don't exist anymore. Because that's the whole thing with life. Is the human mind isn't meant to process forever, right? It just can't. Okay, even if like eventually we live to be 200, 300, or like we put our chips into robots or whatever fucking bullshit, um things get tiring. So that's what I'm just like so confused with on why that happens. But there you go. That is what happens in this movie. And also like the mass shooting kids. This is the whole thing. Like, do the parents don't get to know where like their kids go, like when they die? Like, let's say your kid died in a mass shooting or cancer or whatever shit. Like, there's no way to like find out what world they picked. Like, do you see the whole like? There's a lot of flaws in this fucking movie. Like, it's never explained why you can't bounce between worlds, or even better, let's say you were allowed three, right? Let's say you're allowed to bounce between three, right? And this just seems, the whole thing is that everyone's like modern. Like, what about the bad people? Like people who died during like the Jesus times and during slavery and all this other bullshit. It just seems so confusing because they're like, yeah, everybody comes here, whether you're good, bad, or not. There's Nazi world. There's all of this. There's like, there's probably Epstein Island, fucking eternity, and all this other shit. It's just such a odd thing. Beautiful movie. It is a beautiful movie, but left me with a lot of fucking questions because like the humans, who are just working these jobs at Grand Central Station, it's never like who built it, like who's the creator that did all of this and all this other shit. It is what it is, though. It is what it is.